validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt up on the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher constantly, making my own climb. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. Whoa. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield.
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we're talking about this, that, and everything in between. We really appreciate you guys coming to us this Saturday night. Make sure that you guys like and subscribe as you come into the podcast. Remember that we start 10 o'clock Central, that's 11 o'clock Eastern, and 7 o'clock Pacific, 7 nights a week. If you guys want to jump into today's podcast, you can always click that link, approve the mic, approve the camera. We'll confirm that you're over the age of 18, bring you onto the podcast in real time, or make sure you keep your comments positive into the comment section. Today, we're going to be talking about quitting that high-paying job that you got, working at 9 to 5 with a job that you really don't like, and trying to get yourself a affordable living, doing your own thing, and trying to live that dream. So this has been an ongoing discussion over the past year on this podcast, along with how to start up businesses, trust, invest, travel abroad while working, digital nomads, all of the stuff that we've been talking about in 2024, the stuff we started talking about here in 2025. Build yourself up to being your own boss. And I think that this is actually a very important scenario to build up to, because not only are you your own boss in the work life, you're your own boss in your personal life, and you manage to establish a level of respect from the network that you uphold, while maintaining the type of network that you can benefit from, as well as being beneficial to your network, because every relationship has to be a symbiotic relationship, whether it's a personal relationship or a business relationship. So join me as I take that plunge into the idea of quitting that high paying job in America to see if you can really live in an affordable beach style life where you work at your own pace, or don't work at all and live off of the money that is making money for you. So I can tell you guys, I can never forget the day that I made that decision to leave behind the, I guess you would call it the financial security of that high paying job, where you know that your check is coming on a specific date. You can count how much money you're making on your paycheck based on how many hours you put into your week. And, it in a way that does kind of feel good, but in a way you just know that that's not enough, because in today's society, the amount of money that most of us are getting, the bottom 99%, I can tell you, is definitely not enough. You also know that you got to go put in extra work. You realize that you're doing double overtime, but you got that financial security. Now, one of the things that you realize is that in this particular situation is that while, yeah, the money does come in consistently, the issue is that a lot of times you either hate the job that you're doing, you hate the people that you're working for, you hate the people that you're working with, or you really don't like the customers that you got to deal with in order to make that dollar. So this choice that I made definitely changed my life forever, allowing me to pursue more affordable and fulfilling lifestyle by, doing something that I really like doing, and then not actually having to deal with the extra stress of catering to the desires of somebody who doesn't even know the struggle, because the orders come from above. You've got to deal with the operational procedures, but then you've got to find a way to meet productivity demands when those productivity demands are not feasible for normal human beings. And here in 2025, you already know that between Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, there's going to be so much automation going on with um uh Boston Dynamic for Hyundai. I mean, there's so much automation going on that those of us who can't keep up are going to get replaced by machines. So you got to really start thinking about putting yourself in a position where you can make your own money doing your own thing and love what you do, or at least not hate it, and still be able to afford your standard of living. So I hope that this inspires you to take control of your life and make changes that bring you happiness. So working in a high paying job in America, it is always going to be a consistent grind. You're going to have stress with the suffocating and long hours, where taking a toll on your physical and mental health is a guarantee. I know I felt like I was going through the motions without any sense of fulfillment or purpose. The job was draining my energy, and I felt like I was just a cog in a machine. And I could tell you something, there's a sense of duty that most of us have, that we just got to go to work and we've got to come in, even if it's our day off, even if we've already put in 7 or 8, 14, 15 consecutive days in a row, that we just have to show up and cover this short shift, which benefits the company, it benefits the employer. But we have to understand, the job won't close if you don't show up. I think it's happened a couple times where I didn't go in and they closed down, but more often than not, the company doesn't close if you don't show up for work. If you quit, the business is not going to go out of business. So you got to remember that you have to be able to take care of yourself and make time for the family and friends and loved ones that you're doing all this work for, because we don't dream to be a worker bee that just works all day, every day, sleeps, and then goes back out and works some more. We dream of having financial freedom. We dream of having the ability to travel. We dream of having the ability to have fun with the friends and family that we claim to love, so that we can build memories, basically. And building memories at the workplace is not what the American dream was supposed to be about. So while I was making a lot of money, I can tell you I was miserable. And a lot of people are when they're making a lot of money, because we are taught, at least those of us that were like born in the 70s and 80s, and some of us in the early 90s, we were taught and told that you either do what you love or love how much you get paid doing it, but not both. So the pressure to constantly perform is always going to be insane. And there were targets to meet, deadlines to beat, and bosses to please. And I can tell you that I myself felt like I was living in a state of constant anxiety, always worried about making a mistake or not meeting the expectations. And then there were other scenarios where when I knew that I was doing far more than anyone else could ever possibly fathom for the position that I was in, that the lack of appreciation for the effort that I put in and the lack of financial compensation for the workload that I took on myself was definitely boding an unfavorable position where, the most of us, that's why those people at Amazon started boycotting. They started forming unions. They don't feel like they're getting paid what their value is for the quantity of effort that they put into the company. But we're dealing with a new era where, yeah, they'll pay you $40, $50 an hour for this year, but next year they're going to replace you with an entire machine workforce, and then you're going to be out of a job. So if you find a way to work for yourself, you're not going to replace yourself. And there's always a demand somewhere. There's always a demand. You just got to find out the demand and meet that demand. But the fear of failing is definitely going to be crippling, and it's going to take a toll on relationships. It's going to take a toll on your overall well-being. I can tell you I was exhausted both physically and mentally doing this. But despite the financial rewards, I can tell you that most people feel the unfulfilled and unhappy state that they're in with the lack of accomplishment from all of that work. Because think about how much you put in 60, 80, 120 hours into your salary, and you don't have all you do is sleep. You don't get a chance to spend your money. Other people can enjoy your money, but you don't have a chance to spend your money. You don't have a chance to have a good time. You work on the holidays, you work on the weekends, birthdays. You don't really get a chance to do anything. So then you end up understanding that your identity is what you do for a living. That's not a way to live. And you start feeling like you're just a robot, going to work every day, doing your job, and going back to the house feeling empty and unfulfilled. And I can tell you that that's going to feel like a waste of life where you're stuck in a rut and unable to break free. And the thought of continuing down this path for the rest of your life is definitely going to be a terrifying thing to fathom. So the lifestyle is also very expensive when you have a high paying job. And this allows you to spend a small fortune on rents and mortgages, food, transportation, and entertainment, but you're still barely scraping by despite the high salary because of the poor spending habits. You might feel like living paycheck to paycheck is what's going on, with almost no savings, no security, and no freedom. You find yourself being a slave to the job and feeling trapped. As I've begun to research the affordability of other ways to live, I started to feel a sense of excitement because, I could share this with you guys. And as I discovered that it was possible to live in more than one location, not only in the United States, but around the world, and be relaxed, peaceful, and fulfilled in your life, surrounded by nature, beauty, good friends, a strong community, positive people that are less resentful and aggressive towards you. I started to imagine what it would be like to wake up every morning to the sound of like the waves on the beach, or spend my day surfing or swimming or sunbathing, or just chilling on a yacht or golfing, just living the life, something that most of us really believe that we should have. So the more I do this research and talk to you guys about it on the podcast on a day-to-day, month-to-month, year-to-year basis, the more I realize that this is the life that most of us want. And I wanted to be able to make sure that I could afford that comfortable living. And I want to make sure that you guys can do the same. But you have to figure out a way to do this without the stress and pressure that you get from a high paying job. So you wanted to be able to pursue your passions, want to make sure that you have the capabilities to travel, explore, and experience new things. So since I wanted to be able to live this type of life on my own terms, without having to be burdened by that 9-to-5 job expectation, as soon as I got this particular mentality years ago, I finally quit that job that I was really wrapping myself around. And this was a mix of emotions when I did that. There was a level of fear, a level of excitement, a level of relief. And I felt like I was taking a huge risk, but at the same time, I felt liberated because I felt like I was breaking free from the chains that held me back for far too long. And I was finally taking control of my life, making the decisions that I really wanted to make. So the fear of the unknown is something that's still going to be there with everyone who decides to make this particular type of change, but it is overwritten by the excitement of starting anew. So while I was finally pursuing the dream, I was ready to take on all of the challenges that came with it and ready to face those fears and learn from the mistakes and grow as a person. So when I started getting into this, I started realizing that transitioning from a high paying job to working for yourself, while it can be exciting, it's still going to be a challenging journey. And one of the things that most of you are going to realize is that before quitting, you have to ensure that you have sufficient savings to cover at least 6 months of the living expenses, because this safety net will provide you with peace of mind as you start your entrepreneurial journey. A lot of you might want to actually have 12 to 18 months. And the reason being is because if you have 6 to 12 months worth of emergency funds and 6 months for your guaranteed standard, you have a little bit of time and capital to help with getting your business off of the ground before you have to start depending heavily on your business. Now, there is another way that we can do this, which is what I will be talking about later tonight, which is transitioning over to working for yourself from working for somebody else, where you maintain your standard of living working on that 9 to 5 job while you work your second job to build up income. And then after a while, you end up leaving from your 9 to 5 and depending solely on your income. But I'll talk to you in a minute about how to get that done. When you are making that move to working for yourself, you have to determine how much income you need to replace your current salary. You want to consider starting with the side hustle to gauge the potential earnings without fully leaving your job. And this is going to be something like, instead of working double overtime on your primary job, you might work a regular 40-hour schedule, or you might even reduce your hours to like 30 hours a week so that you can spend another 30 to 40 hours a week working on your secondary or side hustle. You want to make sure to clearly outline your business goals and what success looks like for you, because everybody has a specific figure that defines their success, which doesn't necessarily have to be in line with their current standard of living. Some people want more than what they need. Some people need more than what they want. And you have to really find out where that is. And if you do that, then you'll actually be able to achieve your goals a little bit better. So this is going to include understanding your target market and identifying opportunities within it. For example, I had a brand that asked me about promotional ideas, and I took a look at the young lady's site, and she had a pretty nifty website, but it was all handcrafted stuff that was more to the target of young women. Now, since you have an exclusive market that you're trying to reach out to, it's going to be a little bit harder for you to build yourself up, but it is still possible. When you have a limited target, you have the ability to formulate a loyal following in a specific niche, but it takes a lot longer to build, because if you're aiming for probably 1 to 2% or 5% of the population, you have to realize that you have to go through 100% of the population to get that 1% of your market. And as you filter through the population, you're not going to see as much of a return as you would if you had a more broad spectrum product. So understanding that, you would be able to establish achievable milestones that will guide your progress and help you keep yourself accountable as you transition. Now, this is also going to help you be able to recognize small successes. For example, the Higher Ground songs that the intro to today's podcast, we just got word that on one of the platforms that is streaming off of, we had over 500 streams in one day on just one of the many platforms that the song is attached to, which we thought was phenomenal because that's approximately 21 people an hour was listening to this song on this particular platform that one day. And I had nothing to do with it. So I was enthused by this because there is a plethora of places that the song is currently attached to and streaming off of. And it just released last month. So it's only been out for a little under 30 days. And the fact that it will reach in time a large enough market where it will become a moderate, if not a substantial hit. The fact is that you're able to say, well, we reach 500 in a day. That's a milestone. How many we reach in a quarter? That's a milestone. When we start seeing increases, that's another milestone. If we're crushing 25,000 or 100,000 or a million a year, there goes another milestone. So being able to recognize when you're succeeding and then also finding ways to aid yourself with succeeding even more by finding ways to boost yourself up and make yourself a little bit more successful, finding ways to shift your efforts where you're putting 20% effort in to get 80% results, where you're able to stretch your success a lot further. This will include understanding your target market and identifying opportunities within that market. So when you establish those milestones that will guide your progress and help you keep yourself accountable with your transitions, you'll be able to begin your entrepreneurial journey and your side hustle while still being employed. So this approach will allow you to validate your business idea, understand the market, and build customer base without the pressure of immediate financial dependency on the new venture. One of the things that I've noticed is that startup businesses, just like startup podcasts, if you need the money to survive, you're going to have less effort into making the business successful and more effort into making money to survive, which will also cause you to redirect your attention from the time and effort that it takes to make a startup successful, and then redirect your effort into something that's already established that you can make quick money from. And in our modern times, we're more than ready to do quick payouts. So we do things like Ubers and Lyfts, Postmates and Uber Eats, because since we already have a car, we can just sign up for an app, drive around, burn all the gas in our car, run up the maintenance levels on our car so that we can make a little bit of cash right now in the immediate that will cover some of the financial gaps that we have in our income. You know, a lot of us do things but for somebody to have that app there, do you realize that to create a rideshare app, they had to create the software, they had to create the contracts, they had to create multi-level insurance systems, they had to create a financial transaction plan where they could receive money from the customers, not get cheated out of the rides, still be able to pay out the drivers and not get the drivers knocked off like the taxi cab companies. All of this stuff had to be put together in order for somebody else to already see this working and say, I want to be a part of it. But all it takes is, just like Black Wolf, all it takes is for somebody to take this mindset, put it together, and then stick with it. And in time, it will become exactly what you're looking for. So once your side hustle generates enough income, this is usually when we start thinking about the transition. The ideal area is around 50% of your current salary, maybe 75. Once you start getting to this area, you want to consider transitioning to full-time entrepreneurship. You want to connect with other entrepreneurs, chambers of commerce, and network into other areas where you can find like-minded individuals in the same field that you're in, because there's very rarely going to be a market where you're the only person in that market, because that would definitely make you a monopoly. So since there is more than one person doing what you're doing, just doing it in a different way, it is always a good idea to network with like-minded individuals, because while they might be your competitor in the market, the fact is that they have ways of doing things in order to make themselves more seen and make themselves more readily accessible to the customers. And then you can find out from them what they're doing to keep themselves going, and then try to see if you can emulate that and potentially maximize the results of that to make yourself successful. So this will give you the ability to find mentors who can provide you with guidance, share experiences, and offer support during your transition. When you're joining entrepreneurial networks or local business groups, you're able to build relationships and gain insight from others who have made similar transitions. When you understand that entrepreneurships involve risks and uncertainties, you're able to be prepared for setbacks and remain flexible and adapting your business model as needed. Develop a mindset that focuses on uh, perseverance and learning from failure. And this resilience will be crucial as you navigate the ups and downs of running your own business, because you gotta understand that once you make that business your primary source of income, you have to understand that there's going to be situations where you're probably not going to. I've got Donnie. What's going on, Donnie? I just noticed that you were up there. How are you doing today? He jumped in there, and that was what, 5 minutes ago? Yeah, 5 minutes ago. He threw me a shout out, and I missed him. How you doing, buddy? Uh, and see if he pops back in and gives us another shout out. Either way, while you're in here, balancing your income from a side job with your primary job, you want to make sure that you are careful and effective in your time management. You want to maintain detailed budgets that includes income from both your primary job and your side job. This will help you understand your overall financial situation and allocate funds appropriately. So, one of the things that you want to be able to do with this is categorize your expenses to see where you can cut costs, allowing yourself to maximize savings and investments from both incomes and all other revenue streams. You want to be able to establish specific hours for your side job to prevent from encroaching on your primary job's responsibilities. This will help you maintain productivity and reduce stress. If you focus on high impact tasks for both jobs, you want to use tools like to-do lists or project management apps to keep track of deadlines and responsibilities. Consider using budgeting apps or spreadsheets to automate tracking of the income and expenses from both sources. And this can simplify the financial management and provide insight into your cash flow. Now I'm connected to Twitch. So was that you? You just wanted to say hi, Happy New Year, man. That was you on YouTube. Cause I seen I was like, man, he jumped in 5 minutes ago. Look, I had you up there. I had you up there. Well, hey, it's good to see you, man. It's good to see you. I got a few of you guys on from the thing. You can always jump in on either YouTube or Twitch. It does. I see you each time. I had a picture in picture. I was scrolling through something else. Then I seen the ping and I was like, ooh, let me go back and see what's going on, because the comment section is on one side and then all of the other information is on the other side. So I'm looking at the numbers rolling. I got so many things going on here. You know, when you're trying to run a podcast and you're doing it by yourself, you got to manage the behind the scenes, the forest scenes. You got to manage the switchboard, everything like that. So every time I make a shift, then I got to go back and double check the comment section. So don't worry, I was paying attention while you was watching me on YouTube. You can always watch us on YouTube because it's just as effective. Oh yeah, hey, I've been and now that I see that you're giving us much love from Romania, I've been putting Romania on the map for a while now. Did you seen the story? I think I did a story on Romania about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I did a story about Brazil and Dubai. So I've been putting you guys out there. I think I talked a lot about how you can make something out of yourself over there in Romania, build yourself up, build yourself a stock option, all of the many ways that you can actually go over there and invest in fintech or technology specifically. There's a difference because one is financial technology and the other one is just technology. And you'd be able to build the ability to live financially free. So I've been talking about that for a while. And I'm actually glad to know that you're still there. Give you a special shout out every night of the week. I'll be seeing you pop in. So good to hear you, though. It's good to see that you're here. Every man here collects rubbish just in case you need to repair something. Yeah, we do that. Well, you gotta look at it like this. Life is hard no matter where you live. I mean, look here in America, we got that massive forest fire in California that's burning up everything in California. California, the most expensive place to live in the world right now, looks like a war zone. Well, I can't say it's the most expensive place to live in the world. I can say it's the most expensive place to live in the United States. Yeah, it is horrible. It is horrible. When they first told me about it, I was like, California's on fire. I didn't even smell smoke. I stay in Arkansas. That's a dirty thing to say, but I was just like, well, think about it. All of those people that are going through it, they're going through it. But one of the guys, because I have a couple friends from Taiwan that I've been talking to about it over the last couple of days, because they're like, yeah, I stayed in my home country because I didn't want to go back to America. I'm like, well, what's wrong with America? I mean, I understand the president that we got, but what's wrong with America? Oh, California's on fire. What's that got to do with the other 49 states? Like, you could go live in Washington State or something, go live in Nevada or something like that. What's wrong with like you can't find anywhere else in the United States to live? It has to be California, and because California's on fire, you're like, screw that, I'm gonna stay in Taiwan now. Like, you just gave up on the whole United States. So like, what happened? The East Coast is cheaper than the West Coast. Why not go stay like in Vermont or something like that? I don't know. But we were talking about it, and I was like, oh yeah, give it a couple weeks, and the fire, 2 to 3 weeks, the fire will be done. And the guy's like, well, how can you calibrate it like that? And I'm like, well, if it's moving from east to west, there's only so much land, and at 45 miles an hour, I was able to travel from Florida to Arkansas in 36 hours. So if I am not a fire and I can follow the road, and it take me 36 hours to get halfway across the United States, I'm more than positive that 15-day forest fire should be able to burn itself out, because how much stuff can be burned. The difference between a tsunami or a tidal wave or a flash flood or something like that. The water will come in, but then the water's got to go back out. Once the fire passes you, bro, it's not doubling back. There's nothing left to catch on fire because it already burned. So it's only going to do one pass through. It's not like a hurricane where it's going to like circle back around and knock you off again. It's not like a blizzard where the winds can blow a second one back. Once the fire has passed that location, that's it. You just got to rebuild. And with the insurance companies not trying to give anybody any money because they were expecting never to ever have a fire. I mean, that's just the way it is. But see, if you're a digital nomad and you got your business on the go, you could have took your whole job, you could have relocated to somewhere else and still be getting paid to do you without having to worry about the fact that you just lost everything inside of your house. I got to tell you, when I moved, I took the clothes on my back and I took my computer, both my cell phones. That's it. I pack light. I could fit my entire life in the trunk of a car, and I could still make all my money just by logging in. So I feel like standard of living doesn't have to be high. It doesn't have to be substantially high. But what it does have to be is consistent enough to make sure that the capital that's coming in covers the standard of living. Make sure that I'm not starving. Make sure that I got clean clothes and a roof over my head, some place to sleep. A lot of people want to have like their memberships in different places. They want to have all of these extra side expectations. Like, for example, I went to this tire shop the other day to go and get tires for the car. And they're like, oh, yeah, we got this roadside assistance thing where it's not really a roadside assistance thing. They will replace the tire if you get damage on the sidewall, and they'll do like free balancing and valve stems and stuff like that. And, they charge me an extra $40 for it. And I think it's a limited time. I think it's like 3 years or something like that. And I stopped and I looked at it and I'm like, bro, I probably drive this car once a month. So let me ask myself, do I really want to spend an extra $40 for the luxury of potentially ripping a hole in the sidewall of my car once a month? Now, when I was driving 100 miles a day, yeah, that made sense. I was like, fuck yeah, I gotta get roadside assistance. I gotta get like flat rebate repair and all this other stuff on there. But as it stands right now, I was like, nah, I'm not doing none of that stuff. Either way, one thing, Red. Oh, so I was saying while you were on the YouTube side of things, I was saying that we got to put we had made ourselves successful with the podcast getting the label out there. So since we got the we just dropped the album, and we're doing better than Nick Cannon. We're into it. So a lot of us is excited. We've been talking about it. We've been talking about it for a hot minute that we're making it, doing other things. And that's one of the things that I try to encourage people to do, is to find ways to get yourself more income in more places. And you got to get yourself an income in more places where you're not having to rely on a standing brick and mortar business, if that makes sense. Because if you are able to get yourself into a situation where more money's coming to you, then you don't have to worry about not having enough money to bounce back off of when natural disasters occur. See what I'm saying? So, when they were telling me, oh yeah, that's gonna suck, I'm like, I'm not going to be affected by it. Not because I'm not in California. It's because I've got a fallback plan. I grew up in Hurricane Katrina. So, if the whole state is 50 to 100 feet underwater, I'm playing my Xbox. We were having hurricane parties where I was. We was straight. We didn't have to worry about nothing because we had a fallback plan. If you're able to, you can't predict everything in life. There is always going to be an X factor. But if you have reasonable preparation for most things, then you can try to find your way to adapt for the things that you didn't have preparation for. Like, think about this. I'll get back to business and finance in a second, but think about this. Most people's cars don't have nothing in it. You got one donut, not even a full-size spare. I got 2 full-size spares in my car, jumper cables, jump box, tow strap, tools, and this is in the back of a Cadillac. Now, if I need to, I can fix it on the side of the road. I can fix somebody else's car on the side of the road. I can tow it. I've got hazard the LED strobe lights for hazards. You got the flares. You got everything that you need to make sure that you don't get ran over, you don't get rear-ended, and you can do whatever you got to do on the side of the interstate or in the middle of the woods. If you are prepared for most things, not much can happen. I got extra coolant. I got bottles of water that could either be used as drinking water or be used to cool down the radiator. If you end up with a radiator leak, you got extra oils in case for the brakes, the motor oil. You got the Lucas oil that helps with lubricating the engine so that you don't have to worry about the engine overheating and throwing a rod. There's all kinds of stuff that people just don't bring. And Rain-X, put Rain-X on your cars. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody who's got a car that's watching the podcast right now, go get you 2 types of Rain-X. You want to get the regular Rain-X bottle, the yellow bottle that just for rain, and then you want to get the other one that's for the fog and stuff. That way you have such improved visibility. I'm doing 70 miles an hour in a hurricane. Why? Because I can see it. I've got full range. Instead of it just being water splashing on you, that's shifting the dirt around, it just rolls off the ceiling of your car. Anything over 40 miles an hour and no water drops stay on your window. So you can see 5 cars ahead of you in a storm if you got Rain-X. So I put Rain-X on my front and rear windows, and I put them on my side rear view mirrors so that I can see what's going on as I'm driving. And truth is, enhanced visibility. I'm driving at a higher rate of speed, and I'm not worried about stopping, but I'm also not worried about hitting nothing either. And never gotten into an accident in bad weather talking about something I couldn't see. But in Florida, you've got so many people that they just pull over to the side of the road because the weather's too bad. And here I am zooming in the fast lane, same weather. Why? Because I can see. I was prepared. So with that being said, back to our business and finance discussion. If you guys remember that if you set up the automatic transfers and you set up savings accounts and you set up investment platforms that ensures your ability to be consistent with saving for your business and being able to manage the transition from your working at 9-to-5 job with individuals that don't value you to working for yourself, you'll be able to make a smooth transition over without having any hiccups. One of the things that you also want to do while you're trying to work for yourself is you want to make sure that you have regular reviews of how much time you're dedicating to each job, your primary job and your side hustle, because you're going to always be on call for your primary job. And a lot of times they're going to cut your hours after you put in all that extra work so that they can save money on labor costs because you're in overtime. So if your side job is consuming too much of your time, you want to consider adjusting your workload or finding ways to streamline some of your tasks. But if possible, adjust your hours based on peak times for your side job. For instance, if you find it that everything is more productive for your side work, allocate time accordingly. Establish short-term and long-term financial goals for both income streams. Regularly assess the progress towards these goals and then adjust as necessary. You want to be open to reassess your commitments based on income fluctuations or personal circumstances. And the flexibility can help you maintain balance without overwhelming yourself. Then you want to determine how much money your side job should make before quitting your primary job. This is going to involve several considerations. Ideally, and I told you guys I was going to get to this, ideally, your side job should generate enough income to replace a significant portion of your primary job's salary. And a common recommendation is to aim for at least 50 to 75% of your current income from your primary job before making that leap. And this is profit. This isn't revenue received. The revenue received, which is the net income, the amount of money that came in, is going to then have the deduction of the cost to make that money. And then your gross income, which is the profit that you have, must be 50 to 75% higher than, or 50 to 75% of your primary income. Because if you're taking a 25% loss and you have 6 to 12 months to adjust, that's going to be manageable, which is why you have to have a 6 to 12 month nest egg. So say if you're making $4,000 a month on your main job and you're making $3,000 a month on your side job, and you do that for 6 to 9 months, where you take 6 to 9 months of money and put it aside, so that when you quit your main job, your $3,000 a month from your side job will take you 2 years before you really start feeling the hurt if you don't bring it back up to the $4,000 a year. And then you just have to be able to make sure that when you make that leap, that you are doing the appropriate adjustments. Calculate your monthly expenses and ensure that your side job can consistently cover these costs. And then this is going to include not just living expenses, but also savings, taxes for your personal taxes and your business taxes, and any additional costs related to self-employment. Make sure that when you're making purchases, when you're self-employed, that all of your purchases are in line with business expenses, so that you can claim all of your purchases to offset the taxes that you would owe. Even though we understand that paying taxes is a voluntary thing, you need to do it for your business, but you choose to do it for yourself. You want to make sure that you account for everything that is being spent versus everything that's being made, because when they decide to audit when you file, they have up to 6 years to audit when you file. And if they decide to audit you, you got to be able to prove that what you made that year, you made. Before quitting, it's advisable to have that financial cushion. Just, the more successful your business is, the shorter the timeline of living expenses you want to have saved up. If you're making double off of your job than what you're making off of your primary, then 3 to 6 months of living expenses is good. But if you are doing 75% of your primary income, you probably want to have 6 to 12, maybe even 18 months of money saved up, so that this buffer will provide security as you transition and help mitigate any initial income fluctuations from your side job. Now, remember, once your side job becomes your primary source of income, your side job cannot be a seasonal income, because if your side job turns out to be a seasonal income, then you're going to be dealing with fluctuations of income where you're not going to have as much money coming in certain times of the year, which means you're going to have a larger nest egg to cover what we call rainy day money. If you don't have that money to cover the times when business is going to be slow, even though you notice you're going to have substantial quantities of money when business is great, if you don't put extra money aside for when business is bad, then you're going to end up running out of money. And then you're going to go through one of those drought seasons, and that's when you're not going to have enough money to cover the cost. And this is going to be one of those things that cause small startups and new businesses to tank, because if you can't handle the down season, you're not going to be able to enjoy the upswing. So ensure that you have an emergency fund in place to cover unexpected expenses that may arise during the transition period. And remember that the income from your side job is subject to self-employment taxes as well. So you should set aside approximately 20 to 35% of your side income for taxes, depending on your overall tax situation. Because if you're doing everything under your LLC, or if you're doing something under a C corporation tax identification number, you have certain taxations that you can benefit from. But if you're doing this under your own personal social security number, where you're self-employed, 1099 work, or whatever the case may be, you have certain taxations that you're going to have to pay. So this means that you need to account for this when you're calculating how much you need to earn. So if you earn over $400 from your side gig, you are required to report the income on your taxes if you're going to file for taxes. So you want to make sure that you understand the implications of this on your overall financial situation. And if you guys ever want to talk to somebody about financial needs, if you remember, we had Joe Mastrino on the show. What was it, in October? He was here talking about taxation. And feel free to drop taxes in the comments, and I'll give you his information, and he'll be able to show you guys how that you can save up to, if not more than, we're actually in tax season. Tax season starts next week, Thursday, and Joe Mastrino can help you guys with your taxes right now, as a matter of fact. So reach out to me and I'll give you his information. Just tell him that This and That sent you, and he'll give you a discount, which is even better than trying to run over there to H&R Block, because H&R Block gonna take money out your pocket. I'm trying to keep money in your pocket. So keep that in mind. Make sure that you evaluate whether your side job has the potential for consistent earnings or growth. And if it's a seasonal project-based situation, you want to consider how that might impact your overall stability. So when you assess that demand for services or products, you want to make sure that you're offering this through your side job as a strong market demand. I've done drop shipping before, and I can tell you that when it comes down to expanding, there is a huge issue. One, because you got to buy your product in bulk. Two, you got to pay for storage if it's a physical product, if you're not doing digital products. Then three, you have to deal with if your product has a shelf life, meaning if you're doing perishable items that are only going to be good for a certain period of time, you have to buy enough for them to sell before they expire. But you also have to not buy too many so that the customers don't so that the customers have enough to buy without some of them going, because any of them that expire before they're sold is considered a loss. So you got to find a balance. But if you're selling a product or if you're providing a service that doesn't have an expiration date on it, then you have to be able to make sure that you have enough of that product to meet the market that you're advertising for. So a strong market demand is going to give you more confidence in transitioning to a full-time side gig. But you want to consider whether you can handle the workload, because there's going to be a lot of stress in managing both jobs simultaneously. And you learned that when we had the Crestify owner on the podcast, because not only was he the owner of Crestify, which was a branding company that helps you with your websites and thumbnails and SEOs and other such, with and he also did labeling for your products, and he did a lot of stuff with Crestify. Crestify was on the show too, right after Joe Mastrano. But he also is the owner of Happy Oli, who was also on the show as well. So Happy Oli was the natural dog treats. They had like pumpkin and banana flavored actual real pumpkin slices and banana slices as dog treats. And these things are things that small business owners, I bring a bunch of small business owners onto the podcast. They always say that managing time, the workload starts becoming tremendous, especially when you're doing two. I think I'm doing like 4 right now. And I can tell you that I make time to sleep, but I don't always make time for people. But I do make time to say that I'd made enough money to say, I'm gonna stop doing this one. I'm gonna automate that one, and then I'm gonna start traveling on the other 2. Because as you're expanding, you're gonna have to grind. But once you reach that level of success where you say, I'm satisfied with what I've built, now it's time for me to go and live. You have to make sure that you find that balance. So if balancing both becomes overwhelming, it might be a sign that transitioning is necessary. You're going to have to pick one and stick with it. You want to get away from you working for somebody else and focus more on you working for yourself, because you'll never lose your own job, because you're not going to fire yourself. You just have to stay dedicated to the cause. But ensure that you are passionate about your side job and commit to making it work long term. Because just like I had a buddy on the podcast, I used to co-host this show this time last year. He quit because he couldn't handle the workload. He wasn't dedicated to the job. And now we've got our own clothing line. We've got our own record label. We've got our own we've got our own cologne coming out soon. So I mean, it's like, come on, man. You could have rode the wave with the team, or find something that you're passionate in. And this motivation will be crucial as long as you navigate the challenges of self-employment. So transitioning from a high-paying job to self-employment requires careful planning, financial preparation, and a willingness to embrace new challenges by assessing your financial goals and starting with that side hustle. You want to make sure that you're creating a solid business plan, building a supporting network, and preparing for the uncertainties ahead. And you can make this significant life change more manageable and successful, especially if you have yourself a strong network that is going to support your success. In addition to that, you got to love this. In addition to that, ooh, balancing income from your side job with the primary job requiring strategic planning, you're going to need to make sure that you set clear boundaries between both of these jobs, and you want to be effective with your time management. So when you start focusing on your side job, you got to tell your primary boss, like, bro, I'm not coming in on such and such day because I got to go to work. I'm not available on X, Y, and Z day, and stick to that. If you have to get off from your primary job becomes your secondary job because your primary focus is your own business. So you got to be able to tell your boss that if your shift is over at 4, you're leaving by 4:30. You're not hanging out till 6 because somebody else didn't come in. If you're not leaving at 4 o'clock on the dot because you've got to be at your other job, and your other job starts at such and such time, and you're not going to be late for your other job the way your current job doesn't expect you to be late for them. You want to make sure that you are creating a comprehensive budget, automating finances, evaluating time commitments, and regularly receiving your financial goals, reviewing them, and being able to manage successful income streams from multiple income streams while minimizing the stress and maximizing the productivity. I'm going to remind you guys one more time that before you quit those primary jobs, you want to aim for a side job that earns at least 50 to 75% of your current salary and have a financial cushion. Now, you want to make sure that when you're doing this, because I know that some people are like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go do Uber side job. If your side job is a peer review job where all it takes is 5 or 6 people to give you a thumbs down and you automatically lose your job, that's not a secure job to be on. It's a good side hustle to make ends meet. But jobs like Uber and Lyft, if you get too many people to get in your car and give you a 1-star, they fire you. They don't let you drive for them anymore. You don't have to do anything wrong. They can give you a 1-star just so that they can get a free ride the next time they get into the thing. But you want to make sure that they're not giving you that you're not getting too many 1-stars so that you can keep driving the car for money. I had one of my buddies who's driving for Uber right now. He got fired from Lyft because he got too many 1-stars, or he got too many not 5 stars, not 4 stars. And he went below a 4-star status. And I was like, damn, that sucks, bro. But he's primarily driving for Uber right now. He also got him a computer tech job, and he worked that computer tech job for 3 months. Right after he quit the podcast in August to work on a computer tech job. And then he worked on a computer tech job until October, got fired, and then he's back to driving for Uber full time. Now, I told him that while that's what you went to college for, that's not what you should probably be doing, because you're working for somebody else and they will fire you. I don't know if he's got bad luck or whatever the case may be, but since I met him, I've known him for almost 14 years, and I've known him to have almost 14 different jobs. So I'm like, bro, you should really start considering working for yourself, because maintaining a long-term employment is not in your cards. So, I mean, you're going to go over here and get this job. You're going to work for this guy. And guess what? It wasn't even paying him great. He was getting 18, which is what he was getting paid from his former job. But he was like, oh yeah, if I do good for the first year, they'll bump me up to 25. Well, you're making 25 as an Uber driver. So if you maintain your 5-star status, why are you going to quit working for yourself and go work for this guy where he's going to pay you $5 or $6 an hour less for a year and then give you a raise? Before I could tell you I told you so, boy got fired. Now, he's back to doing his own thing. But as I told him, if you get the business off the ground, the business will make money for you. If you're investing into real estate, you're investing into real estate trust. If you're investing into tax liens where you're going to get interest back on other people's taxations, and there's other ways that you can make money for you, where you don't have to micromanage the effort. And then you start turning a bunch of profits. Once I finished telling them that, he started spinning wheels and here I am doing a successful tip. So I said, well, I told you so. I told you so. But if you understand that you have to have a solid financial cushion and you want to understand the tax implications of self-employment by carefully assessing these factors, you can make more informed decisions about your transition to full-time self-employment while minimizing financial risk, so that you're not like my homeboy making a lot of bad decisions and then just trying to make ends meet after making those bad decisions. But that's okay. He lives with his parents and both of his parents have an income. So he only has 1/3 of the financial responsibilities of a grown ass man. So he can make stupid decisions because he actually can fall back on somebody else to kind of keep him afloat. The rest of us who don't have parents that have full-time jobs that are going to pay for our standard of living, the rest of us have to live on our own merit. We have to live on our own incomes. And that means that we have to make more strict and stringent financial decisions where we can guarantee the income, because otherwise we'll be sleeping under a parked car in a mechanic shop if we don't have the right income going. So since making that move from working for somebody else to working for myself, I can tell you I've experienced a profound shift in mental health. The work-life balance is different. I have a lot more financial savings. I wake up every morning feeling refreshed and rejuvenated and inspired. Bro, I rolled over and I looked at my bank account and there's more money in my bank account than what I thought, which when I say that, I know a lot of people are like, shit, I thought I had 20 and now I got 100. Nah, bro, I went in there and I almost got 8 grand more than what I thought because I'm able to put more money away. I'm able to save. I'm able to invest. I'm able to put the money in places where money is making money for me. So now when I'm looking at extra deposits in my bank account, I'm sitting over here thinking, oh, I didn't even know that was there. And let me ask you a question. Red, matter of fact, Donovan, have you ever went and checked your bank statements and discovered that you had far more money than you thought? Most people don't have that privilege. Most people are like, shit, I have far less than what I thought. I thought the money was going to go this far. It's only going to go this far. I thought it was going to last this many days. It's only going to last me this many days. I'm going to have to get out there and do me a side hustle so that I can make up the money for the next couple of days because I don't have enough money to go that far. We don't consider any of that. We really don't. And because of that, we stick to those 9-to-5s. We stick to the day-to-day grind, and we never consider how that's going to impact us. I can tell you that I'm able to pursue my passions and I'm going to be able to spend more time with the loved ones after I finish scaling up the business. And that's going to give me the ability to live the life that I truly want to have. And as I do that, you guys are going to be living that life with me, because when I start traveling with this podcast, that's part of the life. Getting paid to travel the world and getting paid to live life to the fullest, and it be a business expense. I got to tell you, that is the life. That is the life. And I want to be able to take you guys with me. So as a result, you guys got to hang on and ride that ride. One day I'll have to pass by Romania and Brazil, and I'm gonna have to stop by you, Red, and I'm gonna have to stop over there by Brazil so that I can go see Omni 81, and we'll be able to chop it up and live the life. Because truth, all it takes is for financial planning, strategies, budgets, and then make sure that the investment is worth the return. That's all I have for you guys for today. I want to tell you guys that thanks for watching. I appreciate you, Red Void, Donovan, for coming to the podcast for both Twitch and YouTube. I really appreciate that. I love to hear from you guys. If you would like to comment down below the Ray Red was doing today, if you guys have any insights, if you've ever felt stuck in a high-paying job, or if you've ever felt stuck in a low-paying job, hell, if you've had ever decided to take that plunge into making a drastic career change, make sure that you share your experiences with me in a podcast. And then I'll definitely be able to share some of my experiences with you guys as well. And you'll be able to see those in some of my upcoming videos where we'll be able to start talking more about how to get to somewhat of a beach lifestyle where we're living a vacation life, where our money is making money for us. And all we have to do is roll out of bed and just exist. Where like the hardest part of your day is what am I going to wear and what am I going to eat? Not because you don't have any food, but because you just don't know what you want to do, but you got so much to do. That's where I'd like to be at in life, and I know that's where a lot of us wish we could be at in life. So I strongly encourage you guys to make sure that you put your efforts into trying to make it to that kind of lifestyle. Be that as it may, ladies and gentlemen, since that's all I got for you guys for today, I want you to make sure that you remember tomorrow we're going to have our members only live stream tomorrow. So I want you guys to be able to tiptoe on over here and come and take a look. We're going to be doing our Q&As with our questions and comments from the fans from the comment section. So I'll be able to put a lot of stuff up here tomorrow that it'll make you think. So be sure that you stop in tomorrow. You'll be able to put your 2 cents in. You'll be able to come on to the show in real time if you like as well. And remember that we are still kicking this off at about 10 o'clock Central Time. We're not going to change for daylight savings time. So for those of you that are in other countries that do not observe daylight savings time, this last hour and 10 minutes is the hour and 10 minute window that we usually are going to be trying to run on. I told you we were going to stick to a good hour. This is that good hour that we're sticking to. It is a little bit hard to stream at this time of day since we got Donald Trump talking on CNN, and CNN is on YouTube right now. So a lot of people that want to know what this man got to say is going to be flocking in that direction, but he can only say so much stuff. And then after that, we're going to have a lot more people coming back and watching us make it make sense. So with that being said, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking y'all to make it make sense. So ladies, please make it make sense. Special shout out to Red Void, Omni81, Liberty Twitcher, Silly Emma from Twitch and Twitter, AJ, Mr. Pibbs from YouTube, TikTok, and Twitter. You guys are great. I really appreciate y'all. If it wasn't for y'all, I wouldn't know where we'd be at today. Make sure that you guys enjoy the outro song, because just like I told you, we bust over 500 streams in one day off of one of the platforms that is monetizing the song, so you guys can enjoy it. I'm going to leave you with the information to the song, and you can also get the song and the album off of the description down below. Just click the description of the show and it'll be able to give you that information if you are on YouTube. So Red Void, you are watching us right now on Twitch. If you go back and hit the description button on any of the shows that we have over on the YouTube side of things, you will see the name of the song and the link. It'll take you straight over to YouTube to listen to all 5 songs on the album. And you can also click the link down below the link to for Amazon, so that you can go over there and buy the song if you want to download it for offline play. With that being said, I want to thank you guys for coming to This and That tonight. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Higher ground. Used to chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. That's my personal command. I'm not mounted on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never yield.